Thank you, Ms. Ball. All right, moving down, Mr. Babinek, small business.
Small businesses are oftentimes LLCs or pass-through companies, which means that the tax rate paid by the owner of the business is the same for the business itself. If you reduce taxes, guess what? They have more money to invest in growing the business, and this creates jobs. So this is really critical. And this is both a state and a federal issue. Lower taxes will create more jobs. Less regulation will also help. But in the time that I've got left, I want to point out that leadership and bringing people together can also make a difference. And I'll give you an example right here in Binghamton. This afternoon I had a chance to chat with Mike Pemberton. Some of you may know is running the hotel down the street. And he is very active in trying to build a network of the different lodging facilities to work together along with other organizations so that they can help promote not just the lodging that's here, but to bring in conferences and to actually be very active in working as a group to secure more business for all lodging, as well as, have people come here for a conference, then they buy food in local restaurants, shop at local stores, and that helps small businesses. So my point is that what you can do by bringing the right people together that are ready to cross boundaries and not just working on behalf of their own business, but a rising tide can lift a lot of boats. That requires leadership, something I'm very committed to provide as your congressman.
Thank you, Mr. Babinek. Ms. Tenney. Looking for the green light.
Okay. I mentioned small businesses and income tax, personal income tax is very important. One of the problems with a small business, especially when you're facing competitors who are getting subsidies or corporate welfare, is that you're rarely profitable, so you're not paying taxes anyway because you don't have a profit. So that's why you use the pass-through. But I think one thing that hasn't been talked about today in terms of the small business community, the largest industry in the state of New York is agriculture. Agriculture is number one. We talk about all these other, manufacturing, everything else. Agriculture is the number one industry in the state, and we need to talk about that. Complexity is an issue that causes problems. I see complexity as, code for corruption, and I'll give you two specific examples where it affects taxes. Number one, if anyone owns a dairy farm or did own a dairy farm, the federal milk order bureaucracy, it's a procedure every 2 weeks where the federal government determines the price of milk, not the farmer, not the market. And they're interfering in that, and that causes a lot of problems for our farmers, especially today with the price of milk being so low and the difficulties we have with an international market. The second thing, the complexity, and one of the other big problems is property tax. And Donna alluded to this earlier. Since I've been elected to the State Assembly, I voted against the education budget, though last year's budget looked pretty good. For this reason, we have failed to reform the school aid formula. The school aid formula is so complex, it reminds me of the federal milk order. Complexity is code for corruption. That means politicians and bureaucrats can get in and manipulate what's going on there. What ends up happening is you have these massive property taxes. School districts down in the southern tier and other parts of the state end up getting advantages, and the upstate schools, like many of ours, are left without the school aid formula and the proper funding that we should have.
You need to wrap up.
Thank you. And so, to me, again, it comes back to taxes, but again, tying in corruption, subsidies, and making sure we eliminate that will help our small business community. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Myers.
Thank you. Again, down at this end of the dais, we're talking about a federal, and it's what can we do on a federal level? And there's many things that we can do on a federal level. As Stanley talked about, our agriculture is the #1 business in New York State. I know our Assemblywoman Donna Lombardo has been working on crops like hemp. Industrial hemp has been illegal by the federal government to be grown since the 1970s. By lifting that ban at the federal level, that opens opportunities for our farmers in upstate New York to grow this crop, and around it will hopefully grow businesses that will produce fiber, which will produce food, which will produce all kinds of byproducts of hemp, That's one way the federal government can help upstate New York. As I mentioned before, access to credit is very important to small business, so the government, national government, loosening those regulations that they put on everyone. The other thing that the federal government can do for small businesses is that, it might sound like it's a dirty word, but tax credits for small businesses that want to reinvest in their business, for example, to purchase new equipment, to upgrade their equipment. That would help small businesses, and that's what can be done on a federal level. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. All right, we have one more question from the audience. I'm going to mix up the order we go in this time, just so we're not so tired of the same order. I'm going to put you on notice, Sharon, Ms. Ball, you'll answer first, and we'll come this way, so that this time the challengers get to speak before the incumbents. And this question comes from Maddie Williams, who is in the Seton Catholic High School class of 2018. And she wants to know, what sort of advice would you give to young people in this community who love upstate New York and want to stay here, but are so concerned about economic decline and how we're falling so far behind? What would you say to them?
Don't go. No, I'm serious. There's a lot of hopeless talk in this area, but there are opportunities in new areas that perhaps aren't being presented here. I'm thinking about renewables. I know all these entrepreneurs who are coming up with new products. There are these, what do you call them, incubators, and to look into that. And I also, I'm just going to say this, I think Maddie should follow her heart. What is it that you love? You're going to have to struggle. No matter what you do, no matter what you decide to do with your life, you're going to have to struggle. Whether you stay here or you go someplace else, you might as well struggle at the thing you love. Because if you pursue the thing that you love as a business, as a career, as a personal mission, what will happen is you will struggle, but you will get so much out of it. You will be pulled forward. Your heart will be enlarged. And I don't mean in a bad medical way. And you will have the strength to endure whatever struggles there are. It will keep you here because this is where your heart is. If this is where your heart is, you will find a way.
Thank you, Ms. Ball. Mr. Akshar, what would you say to the young people?